All right. For my second pick and the fourth overall of the week 2 Sunday six pack, I am going with the Detroit Lions -1.5 at home against the Washington Commanders. And I like this matchup for Detroit. Second straight home game. Got away from them last week, but going up against Washington, I'm not very impressed with this Washington team. They needed a comeback to knock off the Jaguars at home last week. I think their run defense is going to be an issue against Detroit. This should be a shootout. It's probably be a shootout, but we know Detroit's defense is going to struggle. But looking at Washington's defense, I mean, they gave up over 6 yards of carry last week to the Jaguars. And that doesn't, that spells trouble against this Detroit team that they want to run. DeAndre Swift looked like one of the best backs in the league last week. Jamal Williams running well as well. And then Washington's cornerbacks, I mean, they're just not playing well. This whole defense is just not playing well. And I think, Detroit with Amon-Ra St. Brown, DJ Chark, I think Detroit is going to have matchup advantages all over the place on offense. And you combine that with being at home, second straight home game. Carson Wentz going on the road, coming off just got his big revenge against the Jags after what they did to him last year. I just think this is a letdown spot for Washington. And I think Detroit, I'm a little higher on Detroit than the market, but that win total started to creep up. But I like buying low on them in this spot here. 1.5. I think they could win this game. So I like Detroit here. Week 2 home teams, by the way, against a road team that covered at home in week 1, 49-2, 55% against the spread since 05, 8-4 when favored by under a field goal. So usually you don't see, positive ATS trends for favorites, but in this spot, Detroit has one. Like the matchup here against Washington.
The only against the spread trend they need is Dan Campbell, who all he does is cover.
That too.
That number 1 last year in the NFL and covered again in week 1. But this is the first time the Lions will be favored. The Lions are favored for the first time in 24 games. My only concern here is I played the Lions -1 early. And now I wish I potentially would have waited because I didn't think that the injury situation could look this bad on Wednesday. Now, Thursday's a day, we record this on Wednesday, that you really get a tell on, okay, this person really might not play. And a lot of times when you're looking at these injury reports, if you see a vet on a Wednesday, a lot of times it's just like a rest day, if there wasn't like a serious injury. But the Lions offensive line, and Swift didn't practice today. They had 3 players on their offensive line didn't practice today. So that I am concerned about going up against the Washington defensive line, because one of the reasons that I did play this is that assuming that the Lions offensive line is healthy outside of Vaitai at right guard, who's went on IR, but they had Kramer in there. And now, when healthy, even without their right guard, they have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL, can neutralize that Washington defensive line that will still be without Chase Young. And then, then Goff can have a clean pocket to take advantage of some of the weaknesses in the Washington defense that we see at linebacker and in the secondary. But now I'm a bit concerned about the offensive line and Swift's availability. I don't have too much insight into it yet. We'll find out more tomorrow, but it's something certainly worth monitoring.
From what I hear, it's like they're just giving them rest. Decker was out for like undisclosed reasons. Like I don't think he's hurt or anything, but I know Swift was just kind of getting a rest after going crazy. And then Dan Campbell said Frank Ragnow's like a little sore, but nothing that should put his availability in jeopardy. Like I think it's just like a Wednesday thing. Not too concerned. I mean, obviously that would be a big hit because, if Washington has anything on defense right now, it still is the defensive line. But from what I understand, they're just kind of resting those, giving those guys a break after. I mean, they played a lot of snaps, high scoring game, a lot of rushing attempts for Swift and all that. So hopefully we're good.